Sometimes I get worried because I'm a Negro and I'm always mouthing off about stuff I disapprove of. And, Negroes that did that in the past typically got, shot in the fucking head. But, I offer stuff. I offer stuff to everyone. I'm such a nice guy. I would even look, I'll give people something they like. They want legal defense for free. Here's an argument that's absolutely perfect for any sort of, and also I'm not a lawyer. This is just me just telling you. You can't be constitutionally imprisoned for marijuana or any sort of thing. Any sort of thing that you can prove has no moral, jurisdiction by the federal government. Mandatory minimum sentencing laws and other sort of, other executive orders and such, all of that is just, that's unconstitutional. Not the imprisoning isn't constitutional. The mandatory minimum laws are. You're having the legislative branch influencing not only the judiciary branch of the time period in which those laws were enacted, but also all possible judiciary branches. You're saying that it's mandatory for me to follow this law, regardless of whether or not the population has changed by then, regardless of not whether the scientific information has changed by then, regardless or not if the objective truth of reality that can be observed and measured and presented as evidence in any sort of judiciary context. You're saying all of that is less valid than following, again, the legislative branch, which is, of course, as we note, a derivative of political institutions, political parties, subject to bipartisanship, subject to electoral, manipulation. Even George Washington was like, yeah, don't have political parties. You know why not have political parties? This is why. You infect your goddamn legislative branch with democracy. The founding fathers did not intend for a democracy, people. They intended for a democratic republic owned by and funded by the capitalist class that, fled that country they stole a colony from, a bunch of colonies from. But yeah, that's basically it. It's unconstitutional for a judge to cite mandatory minimum laws as justification for enforcement of those laws. You can still be, arrested and thrown in jail. Don't get me wrong. You could still be, it's constitutional to oppress the people. Don't get me wrong. That's in the 13th Amendment. It is constitutional to oppress the civilians. Don't get me wrong. But it is unconstitutional to cite a reason for the oppression. If you cite a reason, you fuck over everything. You fuck over everything. That's what happened with the Dred Scott. That's why Dred Scott is such a thing. It was Supreme Court. They decide how you were supposed to interpret the Constitution. That's the role of the judiciary branch, the decision makers of the interpretation of the laws of the land. It's all orientational, sort of intersectional sort of thing. But that's why you shouldn't kill me or persecute me. I'd give out that secret for free. You could just take it, use it in your argument. If I was a lawyer, I would use that as an argument. And if I wasn't a lawyer, I would argue that I could use that as an argument because I'm not legally qualified to practice law, because that technically makes me illiterate and therefore a patron of the Disabilities Act. I require accommodation and an understanding of my accommodation based on the fact that I was always legally illiterate and therefore did not have the awareness to interpret the laws that said that I couldn't practice law.